Bills did trade Stefon Diggs to Houston. Diggs took to Instagram to thank Buffalo and the Bills organization, saying it was, quote, 4 of the best years of my life. He also added, quote, something special was built over these years with some very special men. Sadly, good things come to an end until we meet again. Adam, you have some more news on Diggs. What more can you tell us?
Well, Laura, as part of this deal, Houston essentially tore up the last 3 years of Stefon Diggs' contract, giving him the ability to leave after this season and to become a free agent to negotiate yet another long-term deal like the one he got in Minnesota, like the one he got in Buffalo. And now Diggs will be free to leave after this season. And think about it from Houston's standpoint. It got back, in addition to Stefon Diggs, 2 draft picks, one this year, one next year. And if he leaves this year, now they would be in position to get a compensatory draft pick. So they would get yet another draft pick back. And here's the bottom line. It puts Stefon Diggs in position to have a great season this year. He's incentivized to have one of his best years, to become a free agent yet again, to be the best version of himself on and off the field. But we knew about the trade to get him there. Now there's another added component to it, a reworked deal for Stefon Diggs, in which both sides really gain something here. The Texans get the best version of Diggs, and Diggs gets the ability to become a free agent after this season.
Yeah, another layer that's a win-win for both sides, to your point, Adam. D-Wood, what's your reaction to this news that this is now a 1-year deal with the Texans?
Yeah, Laura, it's like if you can't put it all together for this, I don't know what other incentives would have you do that. This is a great opportunity for Diggs to go to an organization, a system where we've been talking about since this trade happened that this is one of the AFC teams that can contend with the Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously, we heard about all the noise up in Buffalo, the rocky relationship it seemed like Stefon Diggs had with Josh Allen in that organization. So now he gets traded to the Houston Texans. Get an opportunity. The deal is voided down to a 1-year deal. So this is an opportunity for him to put his best foot forward and not only go out there and have a great season, but also capitalize as far as a new contract is concerned.
Yeah, I mean, D-Wood, I think we all agree they could be Super Bowl contenders. They're definitely going to challenge the Chiefs in that division.
That's right.
Stefon Diggs, one of several significant additions for this Texans offense this offseason. They also traded for former Bengals running back Joe Mixon, who ranked 8th in the NFL in rushing yards last season, to be part of the passing game too. On defense, Houston added a pair of players who had double-digit sacks last season in Danielle Hunter and Danico Autry, and linebacker Azeez Al-Shire, who ranked top 5 in tackles. And Bill, what do you think about the offseason plan that the Texans have executed thus far? It's like a masterclass so far.
Yeah, really exciting additions, and everything looks great on paper for Houston. But Adam's news about Stefon Diggs has me thinking about the fit there in terms of what they're going to do on the offensive side of the football. Last year, even though C.J. Stroud had a great year, they were still a pretty run-heavy team on early downs. Wanted to take some of the pressure off of Stroud, maybe get the play-action game going. Kyle Shanahan's offenses in San Francisco, where Bobby Slowick comes from, were typically run-heavy offenses. But now, this is a team that has plenty of playmakers at receiver in terms of Tank Dell, Nico Collins, and Stefon Diggs. And 2 of those players are now eligible for extensions. And Stefon Diggs, who's entering a contract year now per Adams News, and Nico Collins, who's now eligible for an extension. So are the Texans going to throw the ball more and get those guys enough targets so they can get the contracts they deserve next year?
Yeah, interesting way to look at it. Brandon, Houston's pairing Diggs with C.J. Stroud in his second year. It's similar to what your Eagles did with Jalen Hurts and then bringing in wideout A.J. Brown, that veteran presence. How do you see the addition of Diggs impacting this offense?
You know what? You got you a veteran that's coming in. So, I mean, me being in 15 years, a lot of people going to be trying to pick his brain. So C.J. Stroud and him is definitely going to have to build that chemistry. And, you know, the other guys like Nico Collins and Tank Dell, they got to all be, you know, willing to, you know, share the wealth, because now he's the top guy coming in, but he's a seasoned vet. So let me learn a little bit from him. Let me make sure I go in with the right mindset, because I think D'Amico Ryans, I mean, I played with him for at least 3 or 4 years, and, you know, I know how smart he is, and he's going to have the defense ready, and I know the offense is going to be just as dynamic as the defense. So I'm so excited to see, you know, just how they gel together, because that's all that really matters. On paper, they look great, but it's about the personalities and who have to, sacrifice in those moments where you're not getting the ball as much, but now you're winning as a team, and it's about the team at the end of the day.
Yeah, excellent points. I mean, you mentioned that, and I know we keep talking about how they look on paper, but they do have to put it all together, and they have to gel in that locker room. We'll keep an eye on how that looks. Let's go to the Bills side of things here, guys. As of right now, the Bills only have 3 wide receivers on their roster who caught a pass last season, okay? Curtis Samuel, Khalil Shakir, and Mac Hollins. At the moment, it looks like the offense could go through running back James Cook and tight end Dalton Kincaid. Cook ranked 6th in the NFL in scrimmage yards last season, and Kincaid ranked top 10 among tight ends in receiving yards. Bill, what do you expect Buffalo's offensive scheme to look like after moving on from Stefon Diggs?
I think they're going to make the same kind of changes the Chiefs made when they moved on from a star receiver in Tyreek Hill, and that's to get bigger on the offensive side of the ball. When the Chiefs traded Tyreek Hill to the Dolphins, they did not get a Tyreek Hill replacement. They went kind of with the quantity over quality approach, but they played a lot more 2-3 tight end sets, and that helped their running game, helped make the defense declare what they wanted to do and what they wanted to stop, and it made that offense better even without Tyreek Hill. The Bills last year went out and drafted Dalton Kincaid in the first round, and when they had Kincaid and Dawson Knox together, they were a very comfortable 12 personnel team. They went from being the lowest team in football in terms of using 2 tight ends the year before to being the 4th heaviest 2 tight end team in football with those 2 guys on the field. So you'd figure the Bills, after trading their best receiver, losing Gabe Davis in free agency, you go out now, maybe lean more on those 2 tight end sets, get bigger, try to make the running game a little stronger, and create those play action opportunities.
Yep. I really do feel I feel you on that, Bill. I think that, they're going to go in. They got their eye on somebody in the draft. I mean, I really do think that with them letting go a playmaker like that, but get that, seasoned vet that you had, but I do understand some of the stuff that we didn't know that went on the sideline that we seen, that happened in moments where things didn't go so well. So I know for them, Josh Allen has a lot on his plate. And so I know that he's going and talking with the team on what's the next moves and how we're going to, build this thing. But like you said, I do see them going into Kansas City, the Kansas City style of two tight ends, 3 tight ends, and just running that ball, sustaining that and get the play action going. Because Josh Allen definitely is a dynamic player and he can use his legs, in times of need. And yeah, I'm excited, man. I really do think they got some things that they have to do. But you made a good point with the tight ends and how the Chiefs did. I think they can do the same.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Josh Allen shoulders a lot more of that load because, he can do it. He's capable of it. He's one of the most talented quarterbacks in the league, but it is a lot more. D-Wood, Diggs is just one of the players not returning to the Bills. What do you think about Buffalo's decision to move on from a bunch of veterans this offseason?
Yeah, Laura, I had talked about how this iteration of the Bills, that window had closed. They got rid of a lot of very good veterans who, especially on the defensive side of the football, that really contribute to this team and its success for the past 4 years. And so I think Buffalo, this is what happens when you have a quarterback with the type of contract that Josh Allen has, right? You got to be able to, over time, be able to draft and develop your draft picks because that's how you keep the cost down. That's what the Kansas City Chiefs did and have had a lot of success, particularly on the defensive side of the football. I can see the Buffalo Bills trying to emulate and do the same thing moving forward, is trying to really utilize the draft to keep the cost down as they have the quarterback that's making a lot of money.
Yeah, and I think, listen, the Buffalo Bills already were doing a lot of work on the wide receivers in this draft class. And if you look at it, with the money that they take on by trading Diggs right now, D-Wood, essentially, they can't afford to go trade for a wide receiver like T. Higgins and sign him to a long-term extension. So if they're going to find help, it has to come through the draft. And I think they've done a lot of work on wide receivers in this draft to position themselves to be able to take 1, maybe 2. We'll see how this works out in the coming weeks here with Buffalo. But they are cap-strapped to a certain extent. You've got to find help somewhere. And right now, again, during this offseason, they did sign Curtis Samuel from Washington. They did sign Mac Hollins, the former Falcons wide receiver. They have added some people, but it's not as easy as just going out and trading for another wide receiver that you could go sign to a big-time contract. Part of the reason that they traded Diggs, they're eating the money now. They'll free up the cap space later on, but they're taking their medicine this season at that position.
Yeah, $31 million dead cap hit. We should make bumper stickers that say cap strapped. Hand them out to some teams. I'm sure they'd love that, right?